A volcanic world created by God himself. A last vestige of solid ground in the heart of the Pacific. And a living example of the irreverence of nature flourishing in the most isolated places on the planet. From the depths of the earth emerges an archipelago that houses one of the world's most vast ecosystems on lush volcanic islands. White sand beaches take over the coast. Tropical forests hide the most unique forms of life. And in the distance, towering active volcanoes threaten to extinguish everything in their path. Inland, millions of years of erosion have carved deep valleys filled with steep cliffs that shelter the most exotic vegetation. Far from the inviting beaches, on the other side of the island, the world's tallest sea cliffs drop steeply into the ocean, creating spectacular landscapes. Meanwhile, on the horizon, the waters rise as far as the eye can see, hiding the greatest secrets of the depths. This is Hawaii, a natural paradise forged by fire and sculpted by waves, where nature unfolds a symphony of vibrant landscapes, from smoking volcanoes to coral reefs, teeming with life. Of course, in the face of such a benevolent ecosystem, countless wild species fill every corner of this isolated archipelago. Birds soar thousands of miles to reach this wildlife refuge, where they can escape the winter. Countless humpback whales sail the waters across vast distances following the call of breeding. Meanwhile, faced with such an abundance of resources, the reefs that line the coast are filled with vivid colors in an explosion of marine life like never before seen. Surgeonfish, puffers, moray eels, starfish, and even manta rays have chosen these vibrant underwater biomes as their cozy home in the depths. From the peaks of towering mountains like Mauna Kea, more than 4,000 meters above sea level, to the abysmal waters more than 5 kilometers deep in the Hawaiian Trench, there's not a single corner that escapes the parade of wildlife that this island world hosts. The amazing ghost crab patrols the beach, rummaging through the white sand in search of food. Jackson's stealthy chameleon lies motionless deep in the rainforest, literally disappearing into the dense vegetation. And the cunning Hawaiian owl watches the calm horizon from a comfortable perch. But while Hawaii is the world's most isolated archipelago, that doesn't mean its wild inhabitants are immune to the harsh realities of the food chain. From the dark waters of the Pacific, a ferocious beast emerges to claim the lives of any prey that crosses its path. When the dreaded tiger shark appears on the scene, all hope of survival vanishes, and wild species have nothing left to do but open themselves up to a painful death through its jaws. Just as the depths are under the stalking of the aggressive shark, not even the Hawaiian skies are immune to the savagery displayed by this ecosystem's most relentless predators. From high above, the invincible peregrine falcon swoops down at top speed to turn defenseless birds into its prey. In just seconds, they go from soaring through the skies to being in the clutches of this cunning hunter. While the raptor guts its catch on the white beaches, the Hawaiian monk seal dives into the warm waters in search of a bountiful catch. With this resourceful fisherwoman on an empty stomach, no species in these waters is safe. With an area of only 28,300 square kilometers, Hawaii corresponds to an archipelago made up of 8 main islands. and more than 120 smaller islands, islets, and atolls. Located nearly 4,000 kilometers from the California coast, this wildlife paradise is one of the most isolated places on the planet, literally an ocean away at all latitudes. Given its tropical location, this archipelago boasts an enviably warm climate, with consistently pleasant temperatures around 28 degrees Celsius, and a high level of humidity that increases the temperature. The combination of this welcoming climate and the fertile volcanic soil that covers vast expanses creates a perfect garden, from which life springs forth everywhere. From towering koa trees to a nearly endless variety of lush ferns, Hawaii is home to more than 3,000 plant species. With fresh leaves, rich shoots, and exotic fruits growing on every inch of the islands, this is perhaps one of the most blessed ecosystems on the planet. But all this abundance is not only abundant on land, as the waters that besiege the Hawaiian coasts also show the most benevolent and generous side of the Creator, with vibrant reefs where plankton, algae, and marine plants are an unlimited resource. In these warm waters, the food chain is more evident than ever, with large fish-like tuna devouring defenseless and tiny prey like sardines. But without a doubt, the ruler and dictator of Hawaiian waters is the ferocious tiger shark. With distinctive dark vertical stripes running across its body, this gigantic shark, weighing over 900 kilograms and measuring up to 5 meters in length, resembles the big Asian cat. While this deadly predator is one of the most majestic creatures in the Hawaiian ecosystem, it is also known as the garbage dump of the ocean for its insatiable appetite, capable of devouring literally anything in its path. From small fish to large groupers or tuna, seals, dolphins, baby whales, seabirds, crustaceans, and mollusks, or even carrion, there's no prey that this fussy carnivore won't say no to. Its enormous size is only part of its unmatched hunting abilities. With a highly sensitive sense of smell, this bloodthirsty predator can detect even a drop of blood in water from up to several hundred meters away. Its vision also allows it to see in low-light conditions, such as the dark Hawaiian waters. With a highly advanced ability to perceive the electrical fields generated by the muscles of its prey, this ingenious killer can find its victims, even if they are hidden. Much of the tiger shark's success in underwater hunting lies in its versatile teeth. The triangular serrated shape of its teeth makes its bite a perfect killing weapon. This shark's teeth are capable of crushing everything from the soft flesh of a small fish to the solid shell of a sea turtle. Although with its lethal physique, this beast of the waters could stalk countless marine species without much strategy. In a display of its ingenuity, it prefers to launch very elaborate ambushes that take its victims by surprise. Despite having a robust body, thanks to its bluish-gray coloration on its back and a whitish belly, this colossal fish can camouflage itself perfectly with the marine environment, whether seen from the surface or if its prey is in the depths. While a sea turtle, or perhaps a small seal, swims placidly on the surface, the ruthless carnivore lurks in the distance, staying in the shadows thanks to its camouflaged appearance, as well as its stealthy gait. Swimming slowly, without the prey even suspecting its bloodthirsty intentions, the shark approaches, and as soon as it sees the slightest opportunity, opening its fearsome bite, launches a tremendous attack that tears its victim apart. When the shark fails to catch its prey unaware, despite not being a particularly fast swimmer, it has no qualms about launching itself after its prey in a fleeting attack, reaching speeds of up to 32 kilometers per hour in short bursts. In these swift chases into the depths, the result is almost always the same: the predator destroying its prey with its lethal bite. After swallowing another victim, this giant fish may choose to take a well-deserved rest after a successful hunt. Unlike mammals, the tiger shark does not actually sleep by closing its eyes or entering a state of unconsciousness, but rather has periods of less activity and may rest on the bottom or in shallow water. Despite its enormous size, which might lead one to think that this gigantic shark is completely devoid of predators, the truth is that not even this voracious killer can live carefree in Hawaiian waters. As a result of the striking destination this archipelago represents, it's more than common for other deadly predators such as orcas, and even the great white shark to come and enjoy the warm waters and abundant prey of this marine paradise. Here, in a demonstration of how fluid the Hawaiian food chain can be, even the indomitable tiger shark can find itself in a very compromising position when targeted by these equally astute hunters. But of course, when faced with a hungry orca or a great white shark, the tiger shark is far from surrendering to certain death without a fight. Their first line of defense against potential attackers is the same camouflage ability that allows them to hide from their prey. Upon detecting a potential threat in the distance, the tiger shark will remain calm, almost disappearing into the dark waters to avoid unnecessary conflict. In this, their black stripes also play a crucial role by concealing them in coastal waters. When his stealth does the job, and he sees the slightest opportunity to escape, he doesn't think twice, and swims in a burst of speed away from danger. However, sometimes he is not so lucky, and must engage in hand-to-hand combat where the outcome is uncertain, given that both killer whales and the ferocious great white shark are larger, and also boast a fearsome bite. Of course, seeing its life threatened, the tiger shark will not hesitate to unleash all its lethality, and will attack with its devastating bite, trying to dissuade its adversary from perceiving this ferocious shark as prey. Although adult specimens have very few natural predators, young and juvenile tiger sharks are not so fortunate. Given their diminutive size, a larger number of species may dare to hunt them, including some marine mammals. To survive this delicate stage of their lives, young tiger sharks tend to live in shallow waters, such as estuaries and lagoons, where large predators rarely travel. Although countless predators may view these tiny sharks as prey in their first months of life, one of the greatest threats to the young's survival is undoubtedly the adult tiger sharks, who will not be afraid to become cannibalistic by devouring their peers. As giant tiger sharks dominate Hawaiian waters, we venture deeper into the dense rainforest. From what appears to be just an overgrown branch, the cunning and stealthy Jackson's chameleon emerges. Despite originating on the other side of the planet, more than 10,000 kilometers away, this majestic reptile is an introduced species that has not only managed to survive, but also thrive in the Hawaiian ecosystem. While this lizard, at no more than 30 centimeters and 100 grams, may not be one of the most fearsome creatures inhabiting the vast ecosystem of this archipelago, when it comes to survival skills, this reptile is by far one of the most fascinating wild species. Its ability to change color is, without a doubt, one of the most surprising adaptations of this entire isolated wild ecosystem. Varying in skin color from bright to dark green, the Jackson's chameleon adapts to its environment, nearly disappearing into the vegetation. These exuberant color changes, in addition to responding to a vital need for camouflage, also function to regulate their temperature, reflect their mood, and even communicate with other chameleons. In some cases, Jackson's chameleons may even be dyed brown, blue, or yellow. When it's not being a master of camouflage, and allowing itself to be seen, this reptile displays a striking appearance, featuring 3 bony horns on its head, 1 on the snout, and 2 above each eye. Their conical eyes, which move independently of each other, allow them to have a wide field of vision of almost 360 degrees, without even having to move their heads. Thanks to their legs, well adapted to arboreal life, with toes fused in groups of 2 or 3, they can hold branches very firmly, making them expert climbers. Its prehensile tail functions as a versatile 5th limb that it can use to hang from branches with surprising stability and balance. With the chameleon perched on a branch, without even revealing the slightest sign of its presence, what seems like a calm and peaceful reptile, in the blink of an eye, becomes a relentless predator. Launching a lightning-fast attack with its long tongue, which can reach up to 60 centimeters, this lizard becomes the scourge of crickets, grasshoppers, locusts, cockroaches, flies, moths, beetles, and even spiders. Far from wasting energy searching for its victims through the vast Hawaiian rainforest, the chameleon waits patiently for food to come to it, falling right into its well-planned ambush. Their wide field of vision, as well as their unparalleled color perception, are crucial for detecting their prey during the day. With its prey in its sights, the reptile is capable of launching its ballistic tongue at over 90 kilometers per hour in just a fraction of a second, leaving even the most agile insect with no chance of escape. In addition to being extremely long and fast, the chameleon displays near-millimeter precision in these peculiar attacks. Its tongue practically lands where it aims. To further minimize the chances of its prey escaping, the tip of the blade has a sticky substance that immediately envelops its target. In a single movement, just as it captures the insect, it swallows it. Although its prey is not particularly voluptuous, the Jackson's chameleon usually eats approximately every 2 days, devouring around 6 insects. Being an ectothermic animal, meaning its temperature depends on external sources. One of the tasks it usually invests a large part of its time in is thermoregulation. In addition to changing its skin color, constantly moving between sunny and shady areas is a very good strategy for maintaining a comfortable temperature. In addition to avoiding perishing from hypothermia, or being overwhelmed by stifling heat, given its far from intimidating size, the Jackson's chameleon must take care not to be devoured by the hungry carnivores that live dangerously close to its habitat. Although it is not a native species to Hawaii and has no natural predators, some carnivores have adapted to its presence, seeing this resourceful reptile as protein-rich prey. Birds of prey are primarily the executioners of these majestic lizards, which, swooping down from the sky, manage to capture them and gut them to incorporate them into their diet. Of course, to catch Jackson's chameleon with their sharp claws and take him to the heights, they must first find him. The same camouflage skill that the reptile uses to launch its stealthy ambushes is well used to escape what could be a painful death. Remaining hidden among dense vegetation, the chameleon is practically invisible to its captors, who can sometimes be just meters away from their prey without even seeing it. But when, against all odds, its advanced camouflage fails, the lizard still has a few tricks to avoid being gutted. When directly threatened by a predator, it adopts elaborate intimidation postures by swelling up, changing its skin color to dark tones, and opening its mouth to appear larger. As a last resort, when threat postures don't work, there is always the alternative of launching desperate bites, a measure that is generally useless to avoid being cruelly killed by a bird of prey. While birds of prey threaten the survival of Jackson's chameleons, at the edge of tropical forests, where dense thickets give way to low grasslands, a Hawaiian endemic bird sits peacefully foraging. The baby goose is, without a doubt, one of the most representative creatures of the entire wild ecosystem of Hawaii. With mostly grayish-brown plumage, a pale belly and a glossy black head, the Hawaiian goose is one of the birds that steals the show in this vibrant ecosystem. A discreet black beak, along with partially webbed feet, which speak to its adaptation to a mostly terrestrial lifestyle, complete its captivating appearance. There is usually not much sexual dimorphism between males and females, varying only in size, with more robust males weighing up to 3 kilograms. Unlike the vast majority of goose species, the nene prefers to live submerged in tributaries and prefers a life on land. Thanks to their unparalleled adaptability, these birds are able to inhabit almost any location in this vast archipelago, from open volcanic grasslands and lava flows to high-elevation scrublands, nearly 3,000 meters above sea level. Although they don't boast formidable flight skills, traversing vast distances, they do tend to soar through the skies over short distances, especially toward their feeding grounds. Like any good goose, the nene is a herbivore par excellence, eating a fairly varied diet of plants, fruits, seeds, leaves, and shoots. Like Jackson's chameleon, finding food for the baby goose is a matter of patience. Walking slowly, rummaging in the ground, the goose comes across real delicacies in the form of seeds and even fresh leaves. While it doesn't have to worry about tracking camouflaged prey, its keen vision is a very useful advantage when it comes to identifying edible fruits and plants. The entire group almost always goes out to look for food, whether it is a couple or small family groups. Foraging in the company of several conspecifics allows them to detect potential predators, as there are more eyes alert to the perimeter of the group. As with Jackson's chameleon, the greatest danger to these geese comes from above, in the form of dangerous birds of prey. Both the Hawaiian hawk and the Hawaiian short-eared owl will not spare any child they spot from the skies, and within seconds, they will launch a vicious attack, which more often than not, ends with these carnivores gutting the goose. Given their lack of aggression, there is little the child can do to resist the attacks of these ferocious predators, other than to maintain constant surveillance of their surroundings, and, if they detect a threat, try to undertake what, compared to their pursuers, is a slow escape. Roaming through dense grasslands can provide them with additional cover by hiding their striking fur, significantly increasing their chances of survival. Especially when chicks are at risk, baby geese can unleash their most aggressive side, which is nothing more than a desperate attempt to scare off the predator with loud flapping and whistling, which, against all odds, sometimes succeeds in driving the carnivore away from the chicks or eggs. And speaking of eggs, the breeding season for the nene geese is a surprisingly long and flexible period, varying depending on weather conditions and resource availability, always trying to hatch the chicks when the habitat is most bountiful. Since these captivating birds pair up for life, courtship is key to finding a mate. Even before reaching sexual maturity, monogamous pairs of juveniles begin to form. Typically, their first contacts are when they go out to forage together. In a not very conspicuous but efficient courtship display, both geese often vocalize, producing the classic nene sound that gives them their name. This vocalization is a way to strengthen the bond, as well as to maintain contact and reunite after brief separations. One of the greatest displays of affection between pairs is the mutual grooming of each other's heads and necks, a behavior that also helps keep their plumage clean. Synchronized movements side by side, as well as postural displays such as stretching the neck and slightly raising the wings, are also part of the close communication between the pair. When habitat conditions are favorable and the goose becomes receptive, the male's long-awaited copulation occurs. During this, the goose mounts the female, sometimes gently biting her neck to maintain balance. Typically, the act of intercourse does not last more than a few minutes or even seconds, but the couple usually copulates several times within a single fertile period to ensure reproductive success. Once the fertilized goose is born, she chooses a place to lay her eggs. Often, a well-camouflaged spot covered with ferns and bushes is ideal for the safety of the future chicks. The goose builds a small depression to house the eggs, which it usually covers with plant matter, or even its own down, to insulate and camouflage them, adding an extra layer of security to the nest. A clutch can include a maximum of 5 creamy white eggs, which the goose will lay over a period of up to 10 days. The incubation task is entirely the responsibility of the baby goose, who will incubate the eggs for a period of about 30 days. Of course, during this time, the goose will not neglect his paternal responsibilities and will always stay close to the nest, protecting both the chicks and the female from any possible threats. After a month of their mother's dedicated care, the chicks finally emerge from the egg, breaking their shells and providing one of the most captivating moments in the Hawaiian ecosystem. The chicks are born surprisingly well developed, covered in down with their eyes open, and are even able to walk and follow their parents within minutes of birth, which means that they do not usually stay in the nest for long and immediately go out with their partner to discover the world. Despite their high development, this does not mean that children will be independent, as they require highly effective parental care for a long period of time. The baby geese pair cares for the young by guiding them through foraging areas and tirelessly protecting them from predators. Since it won't be until they are 10 weeks old that the young develop their flight feathers and learn to fly. During these first months, they depend exclusively on their parents to ensure their safety. It won't be after a year full of learning and parental care that the young will be forced to leave when nature knocks on the door again for a new breeding season. Far from the home of the nene goose family, on the small atolls of no more than a few hundred square meters that abound in this archipelago, another endemic species of this tropical paradise does what it must to survive. Hawaiian monk seals are a perfect example of the biodiversity that fills every corner of this surprisingly vast ecosystem. Measuring almost 2.5 meters in length and weighing around 300 kilograms, these marine mammals are one of the colossi found in this animal paradise. Its fur, in shades of dark gray to brown, covering a large, elongated, fusiform body, adapted for aquatic life, makes it one of the iconic species of Hawaiian wildlife. Its name monk comes from the appearance of its head, being relatively small and round with a broad face, and with folds of fat, reminiscent of a monk's hood. In addition to their appearance, another characteristic they share with monks is their solitary behavior, living in isolation, without interacting much with their peers. Although they occasionally gather in large numbers on beaches, this habit usually occurs during the molting or breeding season and has no social connection. When not resting on quiet sandy shores, it is likely found in Hawaiian coastal waters, perfect for foraging. When the Hawaiian monk seal enters the water, countless marine species are in imminent danger of death. This majestic pinniped, in addition to having an insatiable appetite, has a surprisingly varied diet, which includes fish such as eels, groupers or snappers, cephalopods, crustaceans, and even exotic prey such as oysters or jellyfish. Of course, to find these prey, the Creator has endowed these mammals with unparalleled skills as marine hunters. Although capable of diving to abysmal depths, Hawaiian monk seals tend to forage no more than about 60 meters from the surface. To explore the seabed with patience, being prodigious divers, they can hold their breath for up to 20 minutes, more than enough time to find substantial prey. Their striking whiskers, also known as vibrissae, serve a crucial function, allowing them to detect the movements of their prey through the dark, choppy waters, or even if they are buried in the seabed. Thanks to eyes adapted to low-light conditions, they can also see their intended victims perfectly, even at very shallow depths, where the sun's rays are nothing more than a myth. Their body shape and strong fins allow them to move with enviable agility across the ocean floor, further limiting the chances of survival of their prey. Part of the Hawaiian nun seal's great success in underwater hunts lies in its knowledge of the seabed, perfectly aware of areas where food is abundant, such as reefs, sandbanks, or rocky bottoms. Since they avoid hunting large prey and prefer to feed on small fish and crustaceans, they do not require elaborate strategies to capture their victims, other than carefully scanning the ocean floor. With such a colossal body and high energy demands, this pinniped requires copious amounts of food, reaching up to 14 kilograms a day. After spending a long time submerged in the water, the Hawaiian nun seal emerges with a full stomach, ready to rest on the beach. Since their body temperature drops a few degrees when they are submerged for such long periods, these well-deserved breaks are the perfect time to sunbathe and digest the copious meal they have just devoured. Despite being incredibly agile in the water, this pinniped is quite clumsy on land, so it doesn't usually move around much, preferring to settle somewhere close to the coast. In addition to resting, they sometimes spend several weeks on land after landing for the molting period, during which they lose and replace all their fur, as well as the outer layer of their skin. The molting period is extremely delicate, as the seals spend several weeks fasting, which can severely weaken them. During this time, unlike other pinnipeds that molt gradually, monk seals shed large patches of fur, which can give them a somewhat bedraggled appearance. Another reason these marine mammals may be on land is for the breeding season, which some long for. Hawaiian monk seals also differ greatly from other seals in their mating habits. Given their solitary behavior, distancing themselves from other pinnipeds, these giants lack a social structure where a male forms a harem and wins the right to copulation in bloodthirsty reproductive duels with other suitors. The mating season for Hawaiian monk seals is much more chaotic and eventful, with the females unfortunately bearing the brunt. Since in most areas of the archipelago, the number of males far outnumbers females, and there is no established hierarchy among them, acts of male harassment are extremely frequent. In these, numerous males besiege a female in a highly violent encounter where they attempt to copulate with the female. Using their sharp claws and robust teeth, each suitor tries to win the coveted prize of mating. During these altercations, the female may be seriously injured, and even death is a fairly common fate. In some cases, males' gang mobbing behavior is directed at immature juveniles, both males and females, or even at lactating females who are not receptive to mating, often becoming victims of these brawls themselves and leaving their pups completely defenseless on the beach. Right near the beaches where Hawaiian monk seals wage their fierce battle for reproduction, the miracle of life is about to blossom, with hundreds of green sea turtle hatchlings emerging from the sand. After up to 75 days of nesting, the tiny reptiles, no more than 4 centimeters long, hatch and burrow into the sand to begin a marathon march toward the sea. This is when the Hawaiian ecosystem displays one of its wildest scenes, as with the birth of the turtles, crabs, seagulls, frigate birds, and other seabirds immediately gather to enjoy what, for them, is a feast. Just hours and even minutes after birth, the tiny turtles must defy the odds of survival, surviving an unstoppable ambush. Every step they take on the sand is a challenge, advancing just a few millimeters toward what, in theory, could be their salvation at sea. After several minutes, almost the entire brood that emerged from the sand perished, and only a few managed to submerge in the water, in what was a full-blown massacre. After surviving this challenging scenario, the young swim into ocean currents, where they spend their first years living in the open sea, in a stage known as the lost years, as very little is known about this stage of their development. While the tiny hatchlings measure no more than 4 centimeters at birth, the adult specimens are true giants, weighing around 200 kilograms and with a shell over a meter long. This robust armor is one of the most distinctive features of the species, having a smooth oval shape with a coloration ranging from olive green to dark brown or almost black. The flat shape of its body, as well as its large paddle-like fins, give it prodigious swimming abilities. Its head is distinguished by being relatively small in relation to its body, with a short beak and large eyes. Hawaiian green sea turtles are one of those species that enjoy to the fullest all the abundance poured out by the Creator on this ecosystem. With a diet that varies drastically depending on their age, these reptiles are omnivorous in their juvenile stage, where they devour algae, jellyfish, and small crabs. Later, when they reach adulthood, they progressively convert to a herbivorous diet, where marine algae from reefs and rocky bottoms constitute the majority of their diet. Although one might think that its name comes from the color of its shell, the truth is that it originates from the color of its body fat, which is tinged green due to its algae-based diet. To devour what it considers exquisite algae, the turtle has enviable underwater foraging skills. Its strong closed beak is specially adapted to cut and tear algae from rocks and corals with minimal effort. A keen underwater vision, as well as precise navigation, allows it to find food sources, even in the most remote places on the seabed. Although their diet is not particularly nutritious, these reptiles have a very efficient digestive system that makes it possible to extract every last nutrient from each algae. Like Hawaiian monk seals, and unlike almost all species of sea turtles, these have a peculiar habit of coming onto land to bask in the sun. Although this behavior can be somewhat dangerous when exposed to them, it is widely necessary to maintain their body temperature, as well as to take some time off. Since another of its favorite resting places are underwater caves, where temperatures are much lower, the reptile is occasionally forced to emerge to warm up on the warm Hawaiian coasts. Although adult specimens have a very limited number of predators compared to their birth, this species is not entirely immune to being eaten by carnivores such as large tiger sharks and occasionally killer whales. Considering that the alternative of fighting in violent hand-to-hand combat is not on the table, this cunning reptile bases its survival strategy on avoiding an encounter with these ruthless predators as much as possible. In this, its broad shell may play a vital role by providing advanced camouflage, making it almost disappear on the dark ocean floor. In addition to resting on them, exploring reefs, underwater caves, and crevices between rocks provides them with a considerable refuge where predators will never be able to find them. If, on the other hand, the reptile comes face to face with a ferocious tiger shark or a hungry killer whale, it almost always opts to initiate a fleeting escape that leaves the predators behind. Thanks to its unsurpassed speed and agility underwater, the turtle is capable of escaping dangers as severe as a gigantic tiger shark, through sharp turns and fleeting accelerations. Having survived the siege of such ferocious carnivores, at over 20 years of age, the green sea turtle finally reaches sexual maturity, ready to grow the species with new offspring. For this, in one of the most surprising acts of nature in this majestic archipelago, the reptile will swim vast distances towards the beach where it was born, where, after repeated copulation, the female will emerge from the waters and lay up to 200 eggs, repeating the cycle, in which, after about 75 days of incubation, countless tiny turtles will hatch and begin their tortuous march towards the sea, Just as the Hawaiian ecosystem is the setting for exotic green sea turtles to experience the miracle of life, enormous humpback whales also take refuge in this animal oasis during their breeding and reproduction season. With the polar winter raging in the North Pacific, this large population of humpback whales decides to embark on a long journey south to the much warmer waters of Hawaii. With a size of up to 16 meters long and almost 40 tons in weight, the arrival of these imposing mammals to the archipelago's shores is anything but discreet. Its enormous body is predominantly black or dark gray in color on the torso, while the fins and belly are tinged with white patches. On the underside of their caudal fins, humpback whales display a kind of fingerprint, as their color pattern is unique to each individual, serving as a means of identification among conspecifics. While its pectoral fins, up to 5 meters long, allow it to navigate the waters with surprising dexterity, a ridge-like protuberance on its back, just in front of the dorsal fin, gives it its distinctive common name. Unlike the feared tiger shark, whose jaw is made up of sharp teeth rather than teeth, this mammal has between 270 and 400 baleen plates made of keratin that allow it to feed. While Hawaii is a destination that hosts an unprecedented variety of prey for powerful predators such as monk seals and numerous shark species, during their stay in these tropical waters, humpback whales undergo months-long fasting periods, as their feeding grounds are thousands of miles away from the Alaskan coast. During their stay in the warm Hawaiian waters, these enormous mammals have the sole and simple mission of preserving the species, giving birth to their young, and finding a new mate. After almost a year of gestation, the females are ready to finally give birth to a tiny calf weighing a ton and measuring almost 5 meters in length. Since the young are born without the thick layer of blubber of adults, warm tropical waters are a crucial factor for their first months of life. Typically, the mother chooses shallow waters for birth, where her young can be safe from predators. Of course, maternal duties are not nearly over with the birth of the calf, since as soon as it is born, the female will begin a long lactation that can last up to 10 months of life. The mother's extremely high-fat milk ensures rapid growth of the newborn. Considering the generous size of the calf, it's easy to imagine that it won't be satisfied with just a few ounces of milk, consuming nearly 500 liters a day. Since the female does not feed during this time, her weight loss is quite considerable, being one of the great sacrifices that this selfless mother must make for her young. In addition to nursing, the mother takes care of her innocent calf, protecting it from killer whales and sharks, as well as from harassment by males. During their stay in Hawaii, the mother teaches the calf essential skills such as swimming, diving, and surface breathing efficiently. The infant often swims very close to the mother's body, taking advantage of the hydrodynamic wake she creates to conserve energy. Mother and baby communicate through gentle touches, body movements, and low-frequency vocalizations, such as whimpers or barks, maintaining a constant bond. One of the lessons the female teaches her young is impressive surface acrobatics, with behaviors such as jumping and flipper strokes, which the young learn through observation and begin to imitate. After spending about 4 months in Hawaiian waters, The mother and her tender calf will embark on a long migration to feeding grounds off the Alaskan coast, where they will enjoy the abundance of krill and small fish. While the females have finished their work on this archipelago, the males of the species are just beginning their work. Driven by the insatiable desire to mate, males compete intensely for access to females. A receptive female may have up to 20 suitors vying to be her escort, the one who will end up copulating with her. To attract the attention of receptive females, male courtship behaviors include resonant calls that can last for hours. High-speed chases, jumps, and even head and fin butts are a way to discourage other suitors from continuing to fight for the right to procreate. After a prolonged struggle, it is the female who has the final say in choosing who will father her future offspring, so each male tries to attract her attention. After the courtship, the lucky winner claims his prize, and a very brief copulation takes place that usually does not last more than a few minutes. To ensure reproductive success, the couple may mate several times, and in some cases, the female may choose another suitor with whom to procreate. Having completed their receptive period, the expectant parents separate, with the female heading north to the feeding grounds, where she will try to begin storing fat for the very demanding lactation period, while the male will search for a new receptive female with which to further extend his lineage. As humpback whales bid farewell to the Hawaiian shores, a captivating red-legged gull takes flight, filling the sky with color with its striking and very distinctive appearance. While its white plumage, with its head and neck tinged with a pale gray hue, gives it a noble appearance, by far the most striking feature of this bird is its bright red legs. Like its legs, its black beak also has a striking red tip that stands out in its appearance. Living near the remote island of Nihoa, in the northwest of the archipelago, colonies of red-legged gulls live in a virtually untouched region, where they can give free rein to their wild instincts. Although it nests on the coast in large breeding colonies during its breeding season, this colorful bird spends most of its life at sea, exhibiting extremely pelagic behavior. Besides their captivating red legs, one thing that sets these beautiful birds apart is their nocturnal behavior, a habit quite unique among seagulls. When the Hawaiian sun sets, the red-legged gull sees the perfect moment to take flight in search of a fresh seafood snack. With a diet primarily based on small fish, cephalopods, and crustaceans, the darkness of night is perfect for attracting these tiny prey using their shiny legs as bait. Thanks to their large eyes and advanced night vision, these birds can spot even tiny crustaceans while flying high above. Just the timid silhouette of a fish swimming on the surface is more than enough for the seagull to descend and catch a juicy catch with its sturdy beak. Its flight skills allow it to approach the surface with great precision and even catch flying fish. Given its high metabolism, this bird must hunt numerous prey throughout the night to satisfy its demanding appetite. After a successful day of fishing, depending on the time of year, you can go one direction or another. When the breeding season is in full swing, the destination will be the coast, where it will nest and care for the chicks, of course, not forgetting to bring them a souvenir in the form of a small crustacean or a fresh fish. Outside of the breeding season, however, they usually rest on the surface of the sea, floating, where they rest from their long flights and save energy for their long night shift. While floating on the sea, it can be distracted by preening and cleaning its feathers to keep them in good condition. While the ocean surface is often the lurking place for countless fish and crustaceans, it can sometimes also become their eternal resting place. Sharks and large fish can emerge from the water in just seconds, giving this seagull a quick death. When on land, birds of prey pose the greatest threat to the survival of red-legged gulls, as well as to their young. For both eggs and chicks, crabs can pose a potential danger, raiding their nests while the parents are unaware. To try to limit the effect of predation on their nests, gulls often nest in remote locations such as cliffs. Likewise, red-legged gulls create large nesting colonies, where the large number of birds represents a collective defense strategy. In the case of adults, their nocturnal behavior is a survival measure that avoids exposing themselves to predators in broad daylight and shelters in darkness, where their acute night vision allows them to see with complete clarity. Perhaps one of the red-legged gull's greatest fears is that on one of its nighttime fishing trips, instead of hunting a juicy lanternfish, it might come across a sharp porcupine pufferfish. This, with its unmistakable and very sharp spines, is capable of deterring any predator from devouring it. Showcasing its unique ability to inflate its body, the fish also turns into a kind of ball filled with blades, almost impossible for any predator to attack. When not inflated, the porcupine pufferfish has a robust, cylindrical body, with coloration that varies in shades of gray, beige, or light brown. While its large eyes and fused-toothed mouth are truly eye-catching, its long spines steal the show. These remain flattened and point backward when the fish is deflated, while when it is inflated, they bristle and point outwards, creating an impregnable barrier. These spiky fish typically live on pleasant, life-filled reefs or rocky bottoms, about 100 meters below the surface. In these underwater environments, the fish usually hides among crevices, ledges, or corals. While the archipelago's underwater routine moves at full speed, the porcupine pufferfish prefers to live life at its own pace, swimming slowly among the seabed, appearing somewhat lazy. Although during the day it usually lies hidden in its hidden shelters, when night falls and the darkness offers an additional layer of security, this skilled survivor goes out in search of food. Here, the pufferfish shows its face as a very efficient hunter, specializing in capturing hard-shelled invertebrates such as snails, sea urchins, crabs, and even clams. Thanks to its very robust beak and fused teeth, it has no problem grinding solid shells and carapaces as if they were butter. Its keen vision, as well as almost unlimited patience, make it capable of finding these small prey hidden in the depths. Swimming slowly and carefully examining the ocean floor one after another, these fresh snacks fall into your bite. Porcupine pufferfish are extremely solitary, to the point that if they encounter a conspecific during their foraging hours, they immediately try to move away to avoid any contact. But, without a doubt, having an encounter with another pufferfish is not the worst surprise they can get during their feeding trips. True to the food chain, large fish such as tuna, barracuda, wahoo, or even the formidable tiger shark may try to devour this highly trained survivor. Having been detected and with no alternative but to hide, the pufferfish does what it must to survive, immediately turning into a giant ball of spikes by filling its body with air or water. With its amazing ability to react, it can adopt its unique defensive position early enough to avoid being engulfed. Both the shape and the presence of these sharp blades along its body make this fish a nearly impossible prey to devour, so predators know that if they let the fish inflate, the entire hunt will have ended in a resounding failure. In addition to their sharp spines, the porcupine pufferfish hides a very advanced survival measure within its body that, in many cases, ends up saving its life. And, like other species of pufferfish, they accumulate some toxins that can be irritating to numerous predators, deterring them from devouring them almost instantly. Some sharks even vomit the fish as soon as they ingest it, due to the toxins that permeate their bodies. In addition to their enviable defensive abilities, porcupine puffers exhibit equally impressive reproductive behavior. Leaving aside only momentarily their solitary and elusive life, the female and the male have a fleeting encounter where the male persistently pursues the female. When she is receptive, she releases her eggs, which then float freely in the water. This is when the male's turn comes, which releases sperm, triggering the external fertilization of the eggs. In contrast to almost all wild Hawaiian species, where at least one parent is responsible for caring for the young, in the detached world of the urchin pufferfish, once the eggs are released, there is no parental care at all. After a laborious process, the larvae float with the currents until they develop and settle on the reef, where after several years, they reach maturity and the cycle begins again. Far from the home of the solitary pufferfish in the depths, on the white sandy beaches of one of the numerous islets, a small ghost crab appears out of nowhere like a specter. With a prodigious ability to disappear into the sand, it's easy to see where this crustacean's name comes from. Its shell, measuring no more than 8 centimeters, combined with a weight of just a few tens of grams, reflects the tiny dimensions of this invertebrate. The crab's coloration, which ranges from pale white to beige or sandy gray, is one of its main survival measures, as it blends perfectly with the color of the sand on the beaches where it usually roams. Although it is tiny, the square shape of its shell gives it a robust appearance. Added to this are its large, dark-stalked eyes, which provide it with a 360-degree field of vision, ideal for both detecting its prey and escaping from any hungry predator. To cope with its laborious daily routine, the crustacean has a pair of claws, one of which is usually larger. These useful tools allow it to dig with surprising dexterity, as well as manipulate food. Its burrowing ability even influences its habitat, as it prefers to settle in areas of the beach where the sand is loose, ideal for digging deep burrows where it can take refuge from the sweltering tropical sun, the wind, the tide, and even its predators. Although they can be seen during the day, the bulk of ghost crab activity occurs when the moon takes over the Hawaiian ecosystem. During its nighttime strolls across the beach, the crab moves at an impressive 10 kilometers per hour, thanks to its very agile 8 legs. During these walks on the sand, he constantly monitors his surroundings, trying to find something to eat. Given their very varied diet, it usually doesn't take long for them to find something that meets the demands of their not-at-all fussy appetite. Being the perfect example of an opportunistic omnivore and scavenger, Dead fish, small invertebrates, organic matter, detritus, and algal remains are part of this small battleship's abundant diet. Even tiny sea turtle eggs are part of the ghost crab's diet, and it digs them up and feasts, devouring what would otherwise be countless reptile hatchlings. In addition to these raids on sea turtle nests, occasionally, in a display of his skillful hunting skills, he may wait motionless near the tide line, planning what will be a careful ambush. When prey falls into its trap, the invertebrate, using its robust pincers, launches a swift attack that manages to capture the victim. If the strategy of being patient and waiting for food to come to him doesn't bear fruit, as he boasts unparalleled agility on the sand, he can also choose to chase prey such as insects, sand crabs, and other invertebrates. Despite enjoying becoming the terror of countless prey, the Hawaiian food chain is cruel but fair, with a host of species willing to hunt down this cunning crustacean. Gulls, herons, stone curlews, and large fish that patrol the shore are among their main threats. Of course, to avoid being devoured by these predators, the ghost crab often lives up to its reputation by disappearing into the white sand. When it spots a predator nearby with the help of its wide field of vision, its first line of defense is to remain motionless, placing all its hopes in its prodigious camouflage. But even if the predator has already located the crustacean's location, it's far from over, because just as it uses its impressive speed to catch its prey, this is a skill that is not at all insignificant when it has a predator on its back. In these fleeting pursuits, the safety of their lair, or the sea, are almost always the preferred destination. The ghost crab is a completely unsocial species, preferring to spend its days in complete solitude, undisturbed. In fact, when relying on its keen eyesight, it detects that another ghost crab is approaching its domain, it immediately begins to emit a loud sound as a territorial warning by rubbing its legs and claws together. This peculiar call seeks to prevent even the slightest contact with its peers, thus avoiding having to share their feeding areas or have their burrow occupied. Just as the Hawaiian ecosystem is home to permanent residents like the ghost crab, this archipelago is also a must-see for wildlife travelers touring the Pacific. One of these migrants is, precisely, the imposing peregrine falcon. This formidable bird of prey, while not a resident species of this wildlife refuge, does allow itself to be embraced by the hospitality of this oasis during its long migratory routes. With a wingspan of over a meter, and the most robust females weighing up to 1.5 kilograms, the peregrine falcon is one of the most powerful and feared birds that soar through the Hawaiian skies. Its plumage, with a dark blue-gray back, contrasts with a creamy white tone on its belly, giving it an elegant and captivating appearance. Its black head features a distinctive cap-shaped patch, as well as whiskers running down the sides of its face. The streamlined body, with long pointed wings set back, and a relatively short tail, are characteristics worthy of an ace of the skies, such as this bird of prey. Perched on a tall rock formation, the falcon gazes into the distance with the help of its highly developed vision. Immediately, he spots potential prey in the distance, in the form of a pigeon, a duck, or perhaps a seagull. Having located the location of an unfortunate prey, the bird immediately takes flight, rising to imposing heights. With its intended victim in its sights, the peregrine falcon dives almost vertically toward its prey. It then folds its wings close to its body to reduce air resistance, plummeting at speeds of over 300 kilometers per hour, making it the fastest animal on the planet. At the moment of impact, the bird of prey strikes its prey with its tightly closed talons, stunning or even killing it instantly, in an attack that never had the slightest chance of survival. Immediately after staining its temporary habitat with blood once again, the falcon picks up the victim in its talons and carries it to a place where it can be consumed in peace. A high branch is usually a perfect spot. After having gutted and completely devoured its prey, the bird takes a well-deserved rest, perched on a high perch, gazing at the horizon from above. During these rest periods after a successful hunt, they often preen themselves to keep their feathers clean, which is crucial for their optimal flight abilities. In addition to taking care of its personal hygiene, the bird spends much of its time carefully studying its territory. While it isn't as territorial as it is on its breeding grounds, with the intention of being more productive in the hunt, this cunning predator of the skies is always looking for new opportunities to strike down more prey. Although it is common to see two of these birds fiercely defending their territory and their mating grounds until one of the opponents gives in. Given that this archipelago is merely a stop on their long journeys, the falcons always prefer to avoid confrontation. As one of the world's most formidable predators, the majestic peregrine falcon is completely devoid of natural predators in Hawaii's vast ecosystem, allowing it to rise to the top of the food chain. However, this does not mean that this bird of prey is completely free from challenges during its long stay in this archipelago, which can sometimes last up to 6 months. Unfortunately, the greatest threats to the peregrine falcon's survival in the archipelago come from harmful human activities. The construction of infrastructure such as hotels, resorts, and homes is gradually reducing the coastal areas that this bird traditionally uses for hunting and resting. With this, Hawaii's ecosystem is becoming less and less hospitable to the arrival of this tireless wild traveler. Not even the imposing tiger shark is immune to threats from the mismanagement of natural resources and the consequences of human activities in this isolated ecosystem. Although Hawaii was the first state in the United States to ban legal shark fishing, the incidental capture of these sharks is seriously harming their survival. Caught in fishing nets and hooks targeting species like tuna and swordfish, tiger sharks often end up seriously injured. Hawaiian monk seals are one of those species that are seriously threatened today, with a high risk of extinction on the horizon. Given their reproductive habits, these marine mammals require an undisturbed habitat to establish themselves and where they can care for their young. Unfortunately, direct encounters with humans upset this delicate balance, and in many cases cause the frightened mother to flee, leaving the calf in a compromising position where, without its mother, it will most likely perish. Despite its location thousands of miles from the nearest landmass, the Hawaiian ecosystem is affected by countless threats stemming from greed and the misuse of the planet's natural resources. Overfishing off the Hawaiian coast limits the number of prey species available for species such as red-legged gulls and even the majestic tiger shark. Water pollution is another danger facing wildlife in Hawaii. Changes in marine ecosystems are causing declines in the populations of such amazing animals as the hedgehog pufferfish, the green sea turtle, and even the migratory humpback whale. The impact of introduced species on the archipelago is also one of the factors considered responsible for the decline of ecosystems. Feral cats, dogs, mongooses, and even rats can seriously disrupt the delicate natural balance of what was a virtually untouched world just a few decades ago. Even the presence of the exotic Jackson's chameleon is extremely controversial, as it is a species native to the other side of the world and originally introduced as a result of the pet trade. Today, the presence of this majestic reptile, for which the human race is solely responsible, has claimed the lives of countless endemic insect species. In contrast to this grim outlook, the good news is that Hawaii's wild species have already demonstrated their irreverence in the face of extinction. As a result of habitat destruction, overhunting, and the introduction of non-native species, what was once a population of over 25,000 nene geese had dwindled to just 30 individuals on Hawaii's Big Island by 1950. Thanks to the implementation of ambitious conservation plans with measures such as legal protection, captive breeding, and the control of introduced predators, the population of these captivating birds now numbers more than 3,000, shifting their status from endangered to extinction. While much remains to be done to ensure their preservation, the survival of the nene geese in the face of extinction is a testament to their continued survival and a ray of hope for other threatened species. Were you impressed by the stories of the wild creatures of untamed Hawaii? Then don't forget to give us a like and leave a comment below to tell us which species surprised you the most. If you're interested in staying up to date with our new videos, remember to subscribe and click the notification bell. Finally, share this video with your friends so they can also learn about the fantastic wildlife of this isolated paradise in the middle of the Pacific. Without further ado, we'll see you next time with more stories of giant sharks, swift birds of prey, and of course wildlife.